Music everyone can agree on. Praise 106.
Yeah, about a minute. $30.
The all-new Praise 106.1, celebrating Radio 1's 42nd anniversary.
Our Radio 1 family, our employees, their family members, our listeners, our viewers, our extended family.
Serving the African American community for over 42 years. Giving our city just what we need right now. Baltimore's inspiration station, Praise 106.1.
From the Big Al Studio, Baltimore's #1 accident attorney. The views and opinions of the guests and hosts you hear are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Radio 1, its sponsors, or its advertisers.
This program is brought to you by Spirit in Mind, LLC.
Welcome to the Spirit in Mind broadcast with your hosts, Bishop Guy Robinson and Dr. Jonathan Shepherd, where we explore faith and mental health perspectives on current affairs. Let's get into today's discussion with Spirit in Mind.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Spirit in Mind, where we discuss current affairs with faith and mental health perspectives. I am Bishop Guy Robinson, and it is a blessing to be here with you again for another installment of Spirit in Mind. Thank God it's time for Spirit in Mind, and Spirit in Mind would not be Spirit in Mind without our colleague and co-host, Dr. Jonathan Shepherd. Hello, Dr. Shepherd.
Hey, Bishop, and hello to everyone out there. So glad to be with you.
Yes, we are indeed so very glad that you're joining us. We thank you for joining in. You can call in to us live right here at the studios at Praise 106. The call-in number is 443-380-2803. Again, that's 443-380-2803. We'll be lifting our discussion topic in just a few moments, but first, Dr. Shepherd is going to share some other ways that we can stay connected because it's all about connection.
Yes, and it's so good to be here with you all, and thank God for another Saturday where we're able to come and provide good and well, really just good information for you all. I was going to say indescribable, but I'm not sure if that's the right word, Bishop. That's where it came from. I think we can't describe it, but but that's the word that came to mind. That's why I hesitated for a minute. But I just, I really am just glad to be here with you all today. It really is an indescribable feeling. Maybe that's what I was thinking in my head. Sometimes your head can get ahead of your mouth. But I'm so glad to be here with you all. So glad to be able to share with our listeners in different ways in which we can be a blessing to you and where you can reach out to us. We want to make sure that you hit up Bishop C. Guy Robinson. Such an important year for him. 2015 means a lot for Bishop right now.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, we're plugged right there.
Absolutely.
This is our pastoral anniversary celebration weekend at the Tabernacle. It's about more than a person. It's about a relationship that God has put together between pastor and people. 15 years ago, we were blessed to be installed as pastor of the Tabernacle. 20 years ago, we began preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so 2015 is our celebration of 20 years of preaching the gospel, 15 years of pastoring the Tabernacle. Worship is tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the Tabernacle. Miss April Hall is an amazing gift to the body of Christ. She'll be ministering to us song. And Pastor Benjamin Haley from the Union Church in Allentown, Pennsylvania will be our special guest preaching the word. You're invited to join us 10 a.m. as we celebrate 15 years of pastoral service. So, yeah, love to see you, Dr. Shepherd.
Absolutely. So that's in the comments. We're streaming. Let's send some congratulatory remarks to Bishop and letting him know that we are so happy. I had a chance to be with them Wednesday for their first service, and wow, what a powerful experience that was on that day. I mean, it was tremendous. So glad I was able to celebrate with Bishop, and I want you all to be able to have that opportunity too. As you know, Bishop has been such a tremendous blessing to so many of us individually and collectively. And so we want to just share again today, even on this broadcast, send out some warm congratulatory remarks and some hearts and some likes and just some well wishes to Bishop, because it is not easy being a pastor in 2024. No, that's not today's topic, Bishop. That could be a topic. But I want people to make sure you can go to CGR Ministries, you can go Facebook, you can go to his Instagram page, you can go on YouTube and subscribe, and you will greatly be blessed. You can go back and listen to the sermons. You may not have all 20 years, all 15 years located there, but just the last year, I guarantee you, will be a blessing to you. So go and do that. And if you're in need of direct care services, someone, you can hit me up, drjonathanshepherd.com, drjonathanshepherd.com. We made some changes to my website to make it a little bit even more easier and user-friendly, if you would. And so please go there. My admin team will be more than happy to serve you, be able to make sure that we are connecting with you. So if in need of services in Maryland, in DC, the District of Columbia, I'm happy to serve in both of those areas or states. And so please let us know if you are in need of services, or you just want to reach out to us. You can do that, drjonathanshepherd.com. So yes, those are the ways in which you can reach out to us. And still today, you can reach out 443-380-2803. We're live here in the studio today.
Hey, man, we're looking forward to getting into our subject for the day. We're looking forward to us remaining connected, staying connected, getting connected. And then we want to continue in this subject, and we welcome your insight. Again, you can call in at 443-380-2803. We've been talking for some time now about the transitions of life. Hymn writer said, time is filled with swift transition. Philosophy says change is the only constant. And so we're always going through these changes. The scriptures say we shall all be changed. And so dealing with these transitions and these changes that life takes us through, change is a part of life. What is essential is how healthy and helpful are the coping strategies. How you cope with the changes that life is taking you through. Change comes in many different forms. And how are you coping with it? Again, we welcome you to share with us at 443-380-2803. But today, both Dr. Shepherd and I were profoundly moved by some events this week. So I'll leave the theological foundation. Of course, we just this past Sunday, not to date the show, but we just got through Pentecost Sunday, and it really is a beginning of the church being equipped and empowered to witness for the kingdom of God. And so it came to me theologically that a few Of course, 50 days before that, we celebrated Easter or resurrection season. And so it occurred to me that the therapeutic processes of our God, wonderful counselor that he is, first healed us with his stripes at the cross, and then empowered us with really coping strategies and abilities and potentials that could be accessed and realized. And so we talked about that transition from healing, empowered, to be healed, strengthened, and then Dr. Shepherd's going to talk about what we experienced on this past week in 3 words: Archbishop Ralph Dennis.
Right.
And so he's going to add the third part. So we've been healed. We talked about being strengthened, and now Dr. Shepherd, will you finish that for me?
Absolutely, and being stretched, and, and definitely we're being stretched. And what I look back, even in preparation for this, Bishop, this morning, as I was in study, I really looked at that 3-part series of healing, or 3-part process, not series, 3-part process of healing, strengthening, and then stretching. And we look at arriving in your new place, as we've been talking about, living in the new place. And once you arrive to that new place, healing needs to occur. And you might say, why does healing need to occur, Dr. Shepherd? Because many times when you're on a journey, there are bumps, there are bruises, there are injuries, and whether the injuries are self-inflicted or intentional or non-intentional, there are things that happen to you while you're on this journey. And once you're on the journey through transition, then you're going to have to take time to rest, to settle. We've talked about that, but really we're lifting up the word healing now so that healing can occur. And what I want to use today, as Bishop and I will go back and forth, I want to utilize the backdrop of the Key Bridge collapse. I really saw this, and many of you all know I'm a very visual person, and began to see how this whole phenomenon, if you would, just takes place. And, and again, it's such a tragedy that occurred. But what you start to look for, if there's anything such as a silver lining through the tragedy, to see how you can learn from this tragedy so it doesn't have to occur again. And really that happens when you are moving into a new place. When you're moving into a new place, you don't want to necessarily go through the same journey again. And many times, some of us have to, because we didn't learn the lessons from the last time. But if we learn those lessons from the last time, we want to make sure we don't repeat those lessons. And one of the things that, Bishop, we brought this out back in our March 30th, 24 broadcast about when it's time for the healing, we have to do the removal of the debris.
Right.
The removal of the debris. And the debris is seen on the surface and beneath the surface, so that the channels of that port can be opened again. I know we remember that. That was so profound. But I wanted to start there today about the removal of the debris, whether it's on the surface, beneath the surface, so that those channels can be reopened, so to allow the cargo to not just get in, but also cargo to get out.
Yeah. Doc, would you, for persons who may just be watching, and again, I know it's a local thing, but it did get some national news, and we do have viewers from different parts of the country. So one of the major bridges in this Baltimore area is the Key Bridge, and it's responsible for, and the river that it crosses is responsible for a lot of access and maritime activity that really affects the country.
Yes.
And in really less than 2 minutes, a barge hit one of the support structures, and the whole bridge came down. And ever since then, we've been, as a state, and really on a national and local level, been trying to go about the repairing process of that transformational traumatic event. And so we're looking at that because it's so profound psycho-spiritually. Dr. Shepherd.
Absolutely. And so thank you, Bishop, because what happens is that when you have such a tragedy or event happen as this, you have cargo that is stuck on both sides. You have cargoes that cannot get out, and you have cargo that cannot get in. And that's simply because there needs to be a clearing of that debris, clearing of that debris, clearing of that debris. I'll say it 3 times like that because that's what's going to allow for the healing, if you would. That's going to allow for that channel to be reopened again. And so that's where we started out with the healing. But Bishop, I was looking at this past Monday on the 20th of May. And again, I know I'm using dates because dates here are important. So almost literally 8 weeks to the date in which it was that tragedy happened, they were able to start the process to refloat the vessel again. It's such an interesting thing that the bridge fell down, but the particular vessel that took the bridge down got stuck and couldn't move for 8 weeks.
That's powerful, and we're breaking this up because if you are a person who is really, if you take it just at face value, it just seems like it's a boat, it's a ship, and a bridge. But if you see the richness that really is there, in less than 2 minutes, a whole way of life was shifted.
Wow.
In less than 2 minutes, 6 lives were taken.
Yes.
In less than 2 minutes, the loved ones of those 6 persons had their lives significantly, traumatically transitioned. In less than 2 minutes, shipments that affect the national economy were affected adversely. In less than 2 minutes, damage was done, and the results of it stayed there blocking everything for 8 weeks.
Ooh.
And I say that because sometimes, this in therapeutic practice, in pastoral care, persons want magic, quick turnarounds.
Right.
Right. In therapy, people terminate too soon. In church, you come to one service and then think if everything was magically removed.
Right.
But I wanted to hear this, that 2 minutes, everything that took time to build. How long were those loved ones married?
Wow.
And how long had they raised children together? And how long was that bridge there? And in 2 minutes, gone, and nothing but debris. But it took 8 weeks just to clear it. And according to the projections of our governor, the aggressive plan is for it to take 4 years and about $2 billion for it to be everything back in place. 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
4 years. And so that ratio is what we want to consider. Although God can do some things, I know he's a God of miracles. And yes, he did blind Bartimaeus just like that. And the one with the issue of blood, immediately the text says. So God can do some things miraculously, but he also does some things therapeutically, like the lepers who were healed as they went, and from glory to glory, and from faith to faith, and so that he that hath begun a good work in us. And so sometimes we want the end right at the beginning, but this speaks to the importance of process as a procedure. Thankfully, now the ship has been moved. So now passageways are being opened up. So Dr. Shepard, you just had to hit that.
No, that's I just wrote again for those following us on live stream. 2 minute collapse, 4 year rebuild. That's amazing. Something that you could just do in 2 minutes, but yet it has a 4 year rebuild to it. That's wow. That's awesome to know that. It may take that long. And I know someone probably been driving along the road right now and saying, man, that's a long time, Dr. Shepard. That's a long time, Bishop Robertson. But you know what? It may sound like a long time, but for many people, it takes that length of time to get that toxicity out of your system.
Yeah.
The trauma, the healing, as we've been talking about, so that the strengthening can occur.
Yes. 10,000 tons of debris, 50 feet deep waters. Yeah, 10,000 tons.
Wow.
Going as deep as 50 feet beneath sea level. And that can't be. And so we have to ask ourselves when the transition happens, how much debris? Sometimes you can't estimate that from the surface. How much debris was brought about from the result of this traumatic event that we experienced, and how deep seated is it now?
Wow.
How deep do we have to go to dig up this stuff so that when the next season of access comes through, it won't get hooked up and sunk
Right.
by the ghost of yesterday's trauma.
Right.
So this is so very profound.
And so we just want to encourage somebody out there again, too. You might be in that process of the digging up. We want to let you know this is the purpose of this show, not to just bring up old memories or make you feel bad or make you feel like it is like you're unable to get through this. But we want to let people know, yes, we are going to empower you with the tools so that you can maintain the course, because there are some things that have happened in your life that literally only took 2 minutes to occur, but it will now have a lasting effect on you. Sometimes it may be even more than 4 years. Bishop, the thing that also really excites me, really, as again, we use this as a backdrop, is on Monday the 20th, they looked at how to refloat the Dolly, the vessel that hit the bridge.
Yes, yeah.
The boat's name was the Dolly, and that was the vessel that knocked down that bridge in 2 minutes. And again, was stuck there for 8 weeks. And I was looking at what happened of how they were able to refloat that vessel again. And the purpose of that refloating it was so they can get it back to the port, so they can get the cargo off of it and get the vessel repaired and get the vessel strengthened again.
Absolutely. which preaches itself, because it raises the relational question. If you allow us, Pastor Robert Spry, my friend, if you will allow us to anthropomorphize or bring anthropomorphic or human-like qualities to these inanimate objects. The bridge, what caused the collapse was a vessel that experienced its own brokenness. And so really both parties are broken.
Oh my.
And so if you allow, so a broken thing broken in one vessel caused a traumatic transition for another vessel. And both of them really got to get healed. So I could stay there, but if you look at that relationally, because sometimes our transitions are due to relationships. For the vessel, the Dolly, it was a power failure. Perhaps for the person close to you, it was a moral failure. Perhaps it was some other type of character flaw. Perhaps it was something broken in them that ran into you and devastated your life. And so now, how do you heal all of the parties involved? Absolutely. So even while the bridge is being repaired, the vessel whose failure initiated all of it is being repaired as well.
And is there something that the vessel that initiated the failure and the collapse might get repaired before the bridge?
Right. They said about 4 weeks here in Maryland and then going to Norfolk for some additional repairs.
Right.
But it won't be 4 years.
Right. No, right. It won't take 4 years to repair a vessel. Absolutely. So, yeah. So that it's just amazing that, wow, that even though the thing that initiated the cause, and so some of you all out there might be even upset, well, why is my healing or why is my rebuilding, why is my therapeutic process taking so long? And the person who caused it, they're able to move beyond that. I can even hear some of that stress. I can even feel that vibe that some people may be wondering, man, why is it taking so long? Well, you have to know that your process is different. Your process may require more time. Your process may be deeper. It may have caused, again, yes, even though it was a huge vessel, the Dolly was a huge, 3 football fields, but it didn't carry as much concrete and metal as that bridge did. So again, that's why there's a difference in why it takes so long to heal. Let me share also with you, Bishop, something else that happened as I again began to look at this backdrop. The tugboats that were surrounding the injured vessel, that's the Dolly, So at the time that they were ready to refloat the boat, tugboats came alongside of the vessel, so to be able to help it get back to the port. And it was so interesting that I was watching it even on that particular morning, that once the vessel was afloat, there came a loud sound from the tugboats signaling that the vessel was afloat again.
Mhm.
And that's so interesting. And I had to listen and learn from that. So from the sailors and from those who understand maritime events and things like that, that when you hear that loud sound, that lets you know that there's a vessel that is now refloating and that is actually moving. Now, when I looked at it from my eyes, that vessel looked like it looked like it was still stuck in the same position. But what I came to understand is that the engines underneath the boats, they actually were churning, and you actually started, if you really look close, you can see the water churning. And then they also talked about that the vessel had to now move at a 1 mile per hour rate in order to get back to the port. And so that's why, according to my eyes, it didn't look like the Dolly was afloat and or moving, but there was a sound that was there to alert it that, yes, this is a moving vessel. Yes, this is a vessel that is back refloating. Bishop, I tell you,
Moving slow but steady.
yes.
And that's so important because, again, I know we live in a fast-paced world and we like quick fixes. But the truth is, certain kinds of experiences and wounds and transitions and traumatic events and experiences and traumatic effects take time to be restored. And it's okay to give yourself some time and not pace yourself by any other vessel in the water. Yeah, move at the pace of your healing. And that's so very important in what we're talking about. Because again, we're talking about more than boats. But again, on Spirit in Mind, we discuss current events with spiritual and mental health perspectives. And so we're talking about more than boats. This is really the parable of the bridge collapse, if you will, because there's so many important spiritual lessons. I know we want to hurry up and see that, but it's so important that we do it right.
Yeah, and I'm just going to make one more point before we draw us for a close here, is that it took those multiple hours to get that vessel back to the port. But once it was docked, now we can see where those channels can now be cleared appropriately. So the vessels can now go in and out of the port of Baltimore.
Well, Dr. Shepard, real quick, my friend Pastor Roberts Wright asked a question on this subject we've been talking about. He says, what are some indicators that you're healing, but healing at a slow pace?
Yeah.
Wrestle with that?
Yeah, that's such an interesting topic because a question: how do you know you're even healing in your human body? You will see certain things happening. You will see certain scars developing. You will see tissues coming back together. So even there's pain. I hate to say it. Sometimes there's pain that's associated with the healing process. So Bishop, I don't know if I can get into all, because literally that's a wonderful question as far as the biological factors that happen with healing, because as you're reconnecting, let's just say if you have a break of your bone or a break in the tissue, that tissue is stretching itself to be able to bring back those forces together, that connective tissue, that skin, that bone, whatever it is. And sometimes that hurts. Those are some issues. Those are some things that you may look for.
The important piece is it's not being evasive. That's a great question. It is the relativity of the question, because slow is relative, first of all, to the degree of damage. If we stay with the bridge analogy, Governor Moore here said that 4 years restoration process is aggressive.
That's true.
Which suggests that it is moving at a faster pace, and at least the goal is. So it could have taken like 5 years or 6 years by normative average statistical norm.
Right.
Just like when we're healing, healing from one condition or one type of procedure, they have an estimated recovery time.
Mhm.
The doctor may say 4 to 6 weeks. But if we start comparing ourselves to others, that's when we start thinking that we're moving slow or moving fast, or if we compare ourselves to our own expectations. So if the doctor says, and you could speak to this better as a physician, but if the physician says it's going to be 6 weeks of recovery, and you're like, I got an engagement in 6 days. This is too slow.
Right.
So, I think it's not slow. I think we could replace that as saying, make sure we heal at the pace that is healthy for us to fully recover.
Yes, sir. And so I know, Bishop, we're winding down. We only got about maybe a
Yeah.
few seconds. You want to take us on out of here. And so glad that we're able to be with you live today. This has been an awesome topic. Believe me, we're coming back to this for our next show. Bishop.
Yes. So listen, if this has been a blessing to you, let someone know. Thank you for joining us. And we're here on Saturdays. And thank you for every question and comment. And by the grace of God, we look forward to seeing you next time right here on Spirit in Mind.
Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook at Spirit in Mind, and we're also on Instagram at Spirit in Mind Live. Join us next time for a new episode of Spirit in Mind.
This program is brought to you by Spirit in Mind.